This is Oedipus, and I'm here with the Bangles today to discuss the great new record called Different Light. And sitting to my immediate left.
Yes. Hello, I'm Debbie Peterson.
And this is her sibling, Vicki Peterson.
And this is Susanna Hoffs.
And this is Michael Steele.
This is the Bangles. Hero Takes a Fall. That's how you were introduced to the world for the most part, outside of the faulty EP.
That's true.
Thus far, that's your greatest hit.
That was a really fun song to write, and it went through a lot of changes until the last day. I have a tape of Vicki and I going, we really wanted to do a beat, and we're going, hero is exposed, and this is tape I have. It's really funny, but
we went outside on Sue's got this old wooden swing set that I think her father built in whenever, the 60s, and it's we were sitting on the swing set, I remember that, and thinking of what is the title going to be? I mean, we need this central, we need a nucleus, you know, we had all these ideas floating, and not really the concept is, I hate to use that word, but concept. And
we wanted it to be like, lyrically, sort of like the Beau Brummel's Laugh Laugh meets Where Were You When I Needed You meets Positively 4th Street or something?
Yeah, something like that. Of course you can hear in all those songs.
And you came up with Hero Takes a Fall.
Yeah.
Which when we get stuck, we often do this. It sounds really
It's a
bizarre,
swinging
but we
song.
go and just pull a random book out of the shelf and just open it. Like some people do that with magazines or comic strips. And I pulled out this book on Greek tragedy.
Yeah,
and there was in the intro.
So you set the scene.
See, I know you're Oedipus. You
understand.
Actually, it was the intro to Oedipus Rex.
It was.
And
It
right
was?
there, yes,
Sure was.
right there in the intro says the hero has a fatal flaw, and his crimes are brought to the light of day, and he has a tragic fall. You know,
Did
the
it say
hero
sorry,
takes,
sorry, sorry? No.
No, it didn't say sorry, 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 but the hero, takes a tragic fall, and that was it. And we didn't even get it. You had to call me up on the phone a couple of days later and say, yeah, here it is. Liverpool Like Egyptian was a song that we heard on a tape. It had never been fully recorded.
And it was done by Kimberly Rue, who was in the Soft Boys, is now in Katrina and the Waves.
Yeah.
And they do the song as well, live. And it's
Have
on
you
the
met
record.
Kimberly?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're wonderful
In
people.
fact,
Very
he
nice.
wrote a letter to a friend of ours, and she read it to me over the phone, and he said, well, for that Bangle record, he
new
really
one.
likes it. He likes the new one.
And he mentioned something nice in that letter. He said, wouldn't it be great if all musicians could be friends, you know, and really communicate with each other? Because it's happened. I mean, let's have some flowers in here right
Very
now.
nice. It's very beautiful.
No, it's true, though, because when we do talk with other artists and interact and you know, anyone from, you know, Kimberly and Jules Shear and these other people, you get ideas.
Christopher.
It's kind of a... You're on a different level because you're always thinking about these things, and when you can share them with other musicians and writers, it's really a wonderful experience.
He saw us at the Marquee in London, which sort of was the
He and
epitome.
Katrina were there. I kept looking at
Right.
Katrina because she was the only girl there, and she was wearing one of those Michael Jackson Thriller leather jackets. And I went, wow, this girl's
In
got
England.
hair. She was cool though.
But it was one of those crazy Bangle shows, the way we like them,
Where
where
guys
by
are
the end
running
of the
up on
show
stage
they
and-
were lying on the stage, looking up our skirts or something. I don't know, but we
Doing
didn't
this
care at
whole
that
dance,
point.
yeah.
It was jam packed.
That was a great
we were
show.
having.
Doing the worm.
It was like 1966 mania. It was crazy. It was like
wonderful.
everyone was going insane, and we were too. And it was. And then Kimberly wrote something about that too.
It impressed
saying,
Kimberly and just said, every time I go on stage now, I think about that show and that
it's
energy.
weird.
Also speaking about Liverpool, speaking of communication as well, I mean, you had to ask someone what a UB40 is,
Oh, no, we
right?
knew.
We knew.
We're incredibly.
It's the name of the
Incredibly
band, you know?
It's like, wow, he had like a UB40 album in his hands.
We always likened the first
Psychotherapy.
album to having our first baby. And they always said the second baby's going to be easier.
Wrong.
Wrong. So this is our second child.
But we did
with
have a
David
cesarean.
It was worth it though, because we feel really good about it at this point.
Well, where do you, besides writing your own songs, there's a number of covers on here. Where do you come up with these? I mean, some of them, they're absolutely amazing where you pick them out from. I mean,
They just appear on our doorsteps.
Well, the Bangles have always actually been known for covering very obscure 60s songs. That's one thing. So on the last album we did Live, which was an Emmett Road song. This time we did September Girls, which isn't really a 60s song, but it was written by Alex Chilton, who was in the Box Tops. And
then
It
later
has
in
that
Big
sound
Star.
to it.
yeah, it has
A
the
Big
sound
Star.
to it.
That's an
What a
amazing.
band.
That's an amazing
But
sound.
then we did one Jules Shear song, and we just love his writing. And Vicki and I have written with him, called "If She Knew What She Wants." And then
The other song is written by Liam Sternberg, and he worked with Rachel Sweet, and he's done a lot.
He was producer. He
wonderful
worked with.
He did the Akron
Stiff in
compilation.
England. Yeah,
He's
right.
yeah.
the Akron Stiff connection.
Right.
Oh yeah.
He's very talented, and we got, as we were rehearsing, David would bring in tapes and just say, well, listen to this song, what do you think of this? And, 99.9% of them, we just kind of giggled and listened to about 20 seconds of them, but Walk Like an Egyptian, there was something about it where you cannot resist.
it was so weird, and we thought, we can't do this.
This isn't really us, is it? And then, but we just couldn't get it out of our heads, really.
It had that sort of monotone. It reminded me of an old 60s record with not Sandy Shaw, I can't think of who, almost like an Annette Funicello record or something.
Yeah, because it had that sort of, monotonic melody line.
Girl
It was
singer
an
kind of.
interesting performance. The girl who sang on the demo was Marty Jones, who.
Oh, she's quite
yes,
good.
Right.
Yeah, she was in one of Liam's bands.
She helped sell the song
One of
for
Liam's
us.
bands, which was called Color Me Gone. Yeah, she was.
She's solo now.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Just saw her a couple of weeks ago.
When I heard this Egyptian song, because I didn't know who wrote it, I thought, now which one of you is an Egyptian folklore?
Which one of them was on
And how
acid
do you
at the
walk
time?
like an Egyptian? I can't wait to see
Well,
you
it
do
sort of
this one live.
describes it in the final verses of the song.
Yes.
Slide your feet up the street, bend your back, shift your arm, and then pull it back.
You have the songs that you want to always do. David brings some in that he knows from songwriters, etc.
Right.
And then do you just have people submit them as well?
Yeah,
People
or
just
we
send
just
the Bangles songs
Yeah,
and say,
we-
this is a
yeah.
Bangles song.
Yeah,
We've
Wow.
listened to a
Songwriters.
lot of tapes, especially for this last album. We had quite a bit of material, but we just we're always open to things. And you never know what you're going to find. You're going to find it going down to Liverpool, and you're going to find it Walk Like an Egyptian, and if it's great, we'll do it. And we listened to a lot of stuff this time, and obviously through CBS there are a lot of writers who are contributing and that kind of thing. And although writing our own songs is a priority for us, it's very important to us to put across our own viewpoint. There are always these other quirky little things happening.
Like when we were in the car when we heard the cassette of If She Knew, and I think, I don't know if you were there,
I wasn't
Vicki,
there.
but Michael and Debbie and I were in the car, and it just came on, and no one said this is a new Jules Shear song, but we just went, within the first 4 seconds or something, we were going, whoa, this is so beautiful.
Then we went, oh, it's Jules.
It's Jules. I mean, you can tell, but it
Once
took
you
a
know
while.
his voice is so
And it was
distinctive.
like, it was just so beautiful, the and the words and
It
everything.
reminded us of an old Todd Rundgren
Yeah.
song, and we also went, oh.
Because we're big Todd Rundgren
Yeah,
fans, too.
we obsessed over the song from the beginning. I admit it. I personally admit to obsession with that song.
Do you all know what you want
can
and need?
understand that.
Does anybody?
The whole song is about not knowing. If we all knew,
It's
it
about
would be
being
okay.
crazy about somebody. Well, see, this is a weird song because you can look at it from a lot of different angles.
Like when Jules sang it, it was obviously a guy singing about the girl who was confused, the girl that he's interested
But
in.
with
He doesn't know what to give to
when
her. He'd give her if he knew.
Yeah, we didn't
he's
want to change
crazy
the song.
for her, crazy
Yeah.
about her.
We didn't want to change the song and turn all the she's into he's. It sort of it ruined the I don't know. There was something about the way it was in its pristine
The
state.
way I
about a
looked
woman.
at it when I was singing of it was that I'm in love with the guy, but he's crazy for this other girl who's beyond the point of, God, if only he would just stop being crazy about her and being
Look
crazy
at
about
me.
me, because I know what I want him. That's how I looked at it. But of course, it's one of those songs that has so many different interpretations. Our original name, this is for you Bangle trivia buffs, was the Supersonic Bangs. which
That was the original name,
that
the
was
Supersonic Bangs?
That only lasted an hour.
About an hour.
It only lasted
Wait
an
a minute,
hour.
how are they supposed to know
I
that?
know. So then we
know
shortened
now.
it to the Bangs, which was our name for many
And then we
years.
lengthened it to the Bangles.
Then we lengthened it to
Someone
the
else
Bangles.
had the name the Bangs.
That's
No
right.
one had Supersonic Bangs.
No,
No.
that's
No,
true.
Esquire magazine, but it was an
The
article.
Supersonic Bang was the name of a hairdo in 1965. I had this, Vicki and I had gotten together to try to brainstorm names, and Debbie was like on the
On the
the
phone.
hotline, you know,
Hotline
if you like
waiting.
this name. This was before when it was just the three of us, many years ago.
It was a hairdo?
And it was a hairdo.
Well,
There was
it was.
this cover.
They were being
They were
tongue in cheek
spoofing
about
the-
it. Yeah.
spoofing the-
Yeah, they had the Greco-Roman god or do, yes, of this.
Pseudo-Ronette.
Yeah, they had all these
Supersonic Bang was similar to what I've got here, but it goes about 4 or 5 miles high.
So bangs over the forehead.
And a
over
big
the forehead.
beehive
So it's like
attached.
sort of like a big B-52 sort of
Like
thing.
an
Right,
Elvira
with the
sort of-
bangs.
Yeah.
Like an Elvira?
Sort of.
but not that long. But
One
it's all
giant
piled on top
bang
of the head.
just coming down.
Let's talk about some of these songs. Starting, of course, with the single, Manic Monday, which I don't know anyone that cannot relate to that song.
Oh, yes. This is
A song
true.
for everyone. Yeah.
With a classic line. It just
Figure out what I'm gonna wear.
just takes me
so
for
long.
to figure out
so
what I'm
true.
going to wear.
Yeah.
And knowing that no matter how fast and how much you hurry and how many things you skip doing at home, by the time you get to work, the boss is going to be looking at you.
And it does remind me of that Springsteen Dancing in the Dark, the line about looking in the mirror and wanting to change everything, and you can't change your face. You know, you just can't. But you want to.
We experienced that many times.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
So.
Getting up at 6, though, to make it to work at 9, seems like an awfully long time to get ready.
Only when you're on tour. Really.
Yeah, well,
Now, a friend of yours, Christopher, wrote this song.
Right.
Yes.
That's right.
How did this one come to your attention? Was this one just brought to you? Was it sent to
On
you?
a silver cloud.
It was. We were phoned, and we met
cloud.
him in a club at the Palace
Purple
in
cloud.
L.A.
Shh. Sorry.
Yes, his favorite color is purple, and he came to the club, and because he'd seen the Hero Takes a Fall video and really liked that song, and saw a show, and then about 6 months later or 7 months later, we were going to London to do our European tour, and he happened to be on the plane. So
The same plane that you were traveling
same
on?
plane,
Very
sheer
well.
coincidence.
Of course,
It
he
was
had
really
bought out
great.
all of first class, and we were sitting back in the lavatories. But
Yes. So we got to talk to him on the plane for a long time and talk about songs and really just have a nice conversation. And then about 2 months later, there was a phone call
Lo
from
and
a friend
behold.
of his saying, he wants you to have the song right now. Come over and get it right now. Actually, there were 2 songs, but Manic Monday was the one that we
Saving
put
the
on
other
this record.
Saving the
Although we
other
might,
one.
we're thinking of doing the other one live or
Performing it.
right for this album. We
What's it
just
called?
wanted-
the other one's
Just out
called
of curiosity.
Jealous Girl.
So there were 2 songs,
Scratch your eyes
and
out.
Manic Monday was the one that we put on the record. But
Well, it's
and then we
interesting to
sent
know.
him a copy. He was in Europe at the time, in France, and we sent him a copy, and he really loved it. So we were very, very thrilled.
The next song is Different Light, the title track.
In a different light.
In a Different Light. Well, that one was.
Who sings that one? You, Susanna, you sing Manic Monday, right?
Yeah.
I sing Different
You
Light.
sing Different Light.
And it was more a song about being very close to someone and trying to figure them out. Being close to someone and wanting to take 4 or 5 steps backwards.
having no perspective, perhaps.
Exactly. And the whole thing, I want to make a movie of you. I want to write a novel. I want to paint a portrait. I want to get you out of how I see you so close and take a step back, put you in another medium and figure you out. And it was also sort of the thing of other people see you in a certain light. I see you in a different light because I really know you. So I want to take a step back and be more superficial with you and see what happens.
It was one of those songs that came about in the perfect way that Vicki had a verse and pretty much
And the melody,
and the melody, and I sort of threw on a chorus. It kind of worked like that, and it was just boom. We wrote that one really fast too.
Yeah.
Are your songs usually written this quickly? You just
No.
kind of write them, you mull over them for days and
They're
weeks.
written in all different ways.
Sometimes
They
they
go
take
from
months.
30 minutes to 6 months.
It's interesting. You could be in the tour bus and you can think of a chorus, and 6 months later, you go back to it and you remember it, and you go, "Oh, great!" Well,
Of course,
I
we've
had
never
the verse
been in
over
a
there.
tour bus. We've only been in a van.
A
It's
tour.
your band,
Tour
right?
band.
The Bangles band.
We like to fantasize.
How do you decide who's going to sing the song? Since you all
Whoever
sing.
knows the most words. Ha ha.
Sometimes we try everybody singing it and see which person seems to.
A
make
lot
the
of
most
time
sense.
it's who has the emotional connection to the song.
Yeah.
Who wrote it and
Like
stuff.
like in Different Light, when I came up with the verse and the words to it, and then we worked on it with Sue. It worked out exactly that I sang the verse and Sue and Debbie harmonized on the chorus.
Well, walking down the street, it just has such a great bounce. I mean, it has a strut.
That song,
melody.
that song.
You can strut to
took
that
6 months
song.
to write. That one was like a million different things.
That was the torturous song on the record for us. Well, all of them were, but this one was more torturous than the other.
Actually, that one I talked to Christopher about. Originally, the song was just called Desire, and originally it was about just an intense desire, just anything about desire. It could be a desire to be, get an A on your report card, to a desire for a guy. And he said, Oh, I only write about one kind of design.
Obviously.
So I went home and thought, yeah, this is too complicated. This is getting a little complicated. I'm going to write this about that moment where you've been absolutely infatuated with someone. You're madly in love. You have this incredible burning desire, just like in the Supreme song. And you've just gotten to the point where you're just walking down the street, and the whole song is really in the present tense of while you're walking down the street to go and knock on the door and say, here I am. It's like you're not going to wait anymore. You're not going to chicken out anymore. You're just going to do it. But the whole song takes place while you're walking. So there is a possibility that you could change your mind. But hopefully
you won't.
And of course, we may have a sequel. ...
Yeah.
We may have a sequel when
knocking on your door.
Gets to his
Yes, you're willing to sacrifice your pride even of just saying, look,
Just
you may
let 'em
reject
know.
me, but I'm completely head over heels in love with you.
Another cover on the record.
Yeah,
Who sings that one there?
That's me.
Michael
Yes.
sings it.
Thank you. I had a roommate who had played me this tape of this band called Big Star. She said, listen to this. And I went, holy cow. Holy beep. Who is that? It's the most amazing sounding record, and there's a real danger in trying to cover a record that sounds as good as that. A lot of these classic old 60s songs, there's no way that you have to do it your own way. But I don't know, it's safer to do a cover that isn't so brilliantly recorded. It's just such a perfect moment in time. There's no way to get like that guitar sound again or anything like that. But when you get the feeling of love for a song that we all have for that song, it's an amazing song.
It's like when we tried to cover Close My Eyes. I mean, Open My Eyes. I'm sorry, Open My Eyes. There was no way.
You can't do it.
We couldn't pull it off. Some
And
songs are made brilliant by the recording. And,
yeah. But
like,
that's a good song,
it's a
and
good
also
song
the recording was
exactly
just amazing.
Like, for instance, we were considering doing You Were On My Mind by the We Five. Wonderful song, one of our favorite songs. You hear that on the radio, blast it, sing it out. But it's the record,
So
the way their voices sounded, the way they I mean, maybe we'll still do it one day.
You know
Who
what
knows?
we are going to do is we're going to do two a cappella covers in our live show now that we're doing tonight. We're performing them too. A Mamas and Papas and a Beatles song, a real less
well known
Beatles song, all with
Which one?
four-part harmony. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Which Mamas and Papas?
Go where you want to go.
Baby.
And we're going to do that now because it's something that we really love to do, which is to sit around and sing. Right? It doesn't have to tie into the record yet, but, just made me think of it.
Does the We Five work a cappella?
No, they were a folk band, though. I mean, they were there was, I guess, one woman and four guys. And they were very much coming out of the folk scene.
Yeah,
But the way
Man.
they worked together,
Yeah.
the way their voices worked together. It was just one of those records that was,
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
but-
like trying to do a Beatles song.
but
you
I
know?
mean, when you're doing these covers, like, with September Girls, I didn't know. I mean, I was halfway through doing the vocal, and I said, David, is this working?
I always like recording your second record, your second album, knowing that you went in as at the last record being so well received critically, being critical darlings, knowing your ass was on the line, so to speak, knowing that you're maybe under the sophomore jinx that people do talk about, that this
Your
is.
ass is always on the line.
Always.
Yeah, welcome to
It just
being
stays
alive.
there, it never moves.
I mean,
We didn't.
Boy,
I don't
is it
think we
uncomfortable.
approached this album any differently than the first one. That we felt pressure on the first album. We'll feel pressure on the 42nd album.
We don't. We have our own pressure that we put upon ourselves, which is
Intense.
We push ourselves heavily to play and write and sing as best we can, and that's enough pressure. That the rest of it's like we don't really. I don't know. I don't personally
out of our
experience it because
control.
I'm just doing what I can do the best I can.
absolutely.
And if the outside world wants to, you know what I'm
You
saying?
Well,
have
the
your
people that
own-
listen, the fans, I mean,
Yeah.
that we like your music. We're looking forward to it. But do you care what the writers say, the critics say? I mean,
You do, but let me just say one thing, that you, above and beyond anything else, I know I had a sense of this when I was working on this record, that you have your own musical, artistic goals. You want to sing better, you want to write better songs. You're just waiting for the chance to do it, and on a record you've got, 10, 12 songs, and you want to create magical performances and
If you
have
are-
them on vinyl.
Yeah.
And it's you're living with this goal for a year, or however long it was since you did your last record, of what you want to do this time. And that really prevails, that sense.
If you can project something that is authentic and sincere, which is what we did with the first record and what I think we've done with the second record, I think that is what people react to, so I don't think we'll be disappointing anyone.
As far as like critics and people saying things go, you know, I mean, everybody's got a different opinion about things, so you just kind of have to look at it and try not to take it personally, and just, you know, just think in your brain and in your heart that, you know, you're doing your best, and it's what you want to do, and if they don't like it, well, too bad.
And to paraphrase, you know, somebody, you know, to that not self be true.